Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Lauren Scott. I work in the International Admissions Department here at MCPHS, or Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. I'm going to pass it over to Ita Duran to facilitate today, and I just want to point out that we do have a Q&A section in our webinar, and whenever you have questions, please go ahead and pop your questions in there, and we will answer your questions towards the end of our presentation. But without further ado, Ita, I'm passing it to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I know that there are participants from around the world. We are very appreciative of the time you're taking to be with us today. We welcome you to this conversation for parents, with parents, hosted by the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, also known as MCPHS. My name is Ita Duran. I was a student at the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy, and my daughter also graduated from MCPHS. So I am both an alumna and the parent of a past student. I am currently Executive Director of Global Strategy at the university. If you are with us here today, it means that you are helping your child navigate the difficult decision of choosing the right university, the right program for their future. This is a tough decision. It's a decision that can change the trajectory of your child's career and could influence their professional environment for the next 40 years. And it is because this decision is so important that we've created this webinar series called Asking the Right Questions. When my children were looking for colleges, I had been out of school for 20 years and living outside of the United States for about as long. So I was no longer familiar with the programs in the United States. And to be honest, I was not even familiar with the careers that they had chosen to follow. So I had questions, many questions, but I did not know what I did not know. As we speak with parents, these are the 4 areas that we find to really be subjects that are sources of doubts and of questions: safety and security of our children, outcomes and student success in the program of choice, finances and affordability, and rankings. So we would like to discuss these topics with you, give you credible sources to approach them in an informed, factual, and analytical way. And in order to do this, we are very privileged to have 4 panelists who have agreed to share their time and experience with us. Panelists, thank you very much to each of you for being here today so that these parents can hear directly from you. Could I ask each of you to present yourself, please? And we'll start with Eric.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Thompson, and I am the Chief Enrollment Officer for MCPHS. And I'd like to echo some of Ita's comments and thanking you all for joining the presentation today, and look forward to a lively and informative and interesting discussion. In my role here at the school, I oversee several functions of our university, one of which obviously is the international marketing and recruitment and admissions functions for the school, obviously our domestic recruitment functions, our enrollment marketing office, the admissions operations people that kind of power the big system that processes all of our students' applications and all of the documents that you send us and produces decisions for the university. And also importantly, our student financial services office, which are the folks that deal one-to-one and individually with all of our students and all of our families on their financial plans to attend the school. I've been with MCPHS for about 10 years. It's been a wonderful 10 years. It's been a great place to work, and the biggest reason for that is the students that we get to interact with here at the school and watch along their educational journey. So again, thank you for joining us. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Eric. And to our 3 parent panelists, if you could share a little bit about yourself and about your connection with MCPHS. Let's start with Parvinder.
Hello, everyone. I am Parvinder Kaur. I am an educationist by profession. And amongst the many roles that we all play in life, my favorite role is to be the mother to my two children. My son Amitoj started his journey with MCPHS in 2017. So it's been a good, happy, long 7 years. Yes, he graduated. He's doing well in his field. I'm a very, very, very proud and a very happy parent of MCPHS. Um, and hence the relationship continues even years after Amitoj graduated from there. I always tell people, whether they know me or not, that this is the best decision we took in our life. And wherever Amitoj is or will be in next 10 years, I always give credit to MCPHS for making him the man he is today. Amitoj is currently working at Mayo Clinic and soon to start his journey to Stanford College for his PhD. And MCPH is just like second home to us. So all the best to whoever comes in, and go ahead and take the second best decision, just like I did, and there's no looking back. Rest is all history.
Thank you so much, Parvinder. That was such a great success story. I think that news is recent, his being admitted to the PhD Stanford. So we're very proud of him.
That's in September, and we're just so excited for him. And all thanks to you guys.
Thank you very much, Parvinder. Harjeet.
Well, mine is a very emotional story as well, because Ida and I share a very emotional connection. I'm a single mother of two, and Jasmine, being my eldest, was admitted into MCPHS January 2020 at the Boston campus. She quickly, with the support of the MCPHS counselors and everything, in her first year, like, went to a 4.0 GPA, got the scholarship into the accelerated program into Worcester. She is graduating this May. It's just been very, very successful. I myself come from a financial background, younger son being an engineer. But honestly, the support I've received from MCPHS, just, bringing them there, meeting Ida for the first time, just kind of knocking at her door, taking us in. And that first conversation with you, it was just like, it's okay, she's our daughter now. Those are the words I will never forget. And even to this day, obviously, when I speak about it, it's just so emotional, because Jasmine growing up without a father, and me being a single mom, to make that happen, and now her graduating, that's all thanks to the staff, the counselors, people like Lauren, Christina, everybody there. So I cannot thank MCPH enough. And I think any student who can come there and take advantage of the resources will just flourish for life. And history's been made in my family, because Jasmine is not only the first doctor in my dad's family, but she is also the first female doctor. So that is just like great news. So, and thank you so much.
Well, Harjeet, thank you. I remember that conversation as if it were yesterday. And we for some time, we didn't think it was going to be able to work, but we made it work and we found solutions. I appreciate your sharing that with us. Norman.
Thank you, and good morning or good day to everyone that's joining this meeting. I have to say that's very difficult to follow those two introductions. Sorry, Eric, but those were very emotional, very amazing introductions. My daughter is currently in the Accelerated PharmD program in Worcester. It's her first year, and I have to admit and say that she's loving it. A little bit of history. I'm a serial entrepreneur in the telecom industry since 1995, and sold my company to TELUS, which is an incumbent telephone company here in Canada. And My post-acquisition role is Chief Technical Officer of a subdivision of TELUS, and I support a national engineering and operations team. But the decision to go to MCPHS, and I think throughout this presentation you'll hear a lot of nice things, was truly because of the fact that MCPHS has such a great support system, such a great ability to engage the students and drive their success. So I'm very happy. I cannot even come close to to those to Miss Parvinder and Miss Harjeet, but very good environment for my daughter. And thank you for the opportunity to speak here.
Thank you, Norman. We appreciate your time and your contribution. I know this is the second parent webinar that you're participating in, so have to think that you like it. Thanks so much. So of the 4 subjects that we mentioned in the beginning, I thought that we would start with ranking. This is a subject that is difficult to fully understand because we talk a lot about ranking, but do we know really what ranking is? How are rankings calculated? What characteristics are assessed when institutions are ranked? Do all institutions participate in ranking metrics? And most importantly, which rankings are important for the goals of my individual child, right? So let's start with understanding what rankings are. There are dozens of ranking systems out there, and it's important to try to find which ones are legitimate, and of those that are legitimate, which ones are ranking the schools through the criteria that is important to you. For example, here we have US News and World Report. This is their own explanation of how they rank schools. So as you see from their own explanation, their ranking is a purely subjective process based on opinions from other schools and a certain response rate. Then you have other rankings who have methodologies that are a little bit more complex. You can move on to the next slide, Lauren. In this example of World University rankings, there are 4 areas of assessment: education, employability, faculty, and research. The quality of education that is assessed, when they assess the quality of education, as you can see, they assess this not based on student achievement, resources, or retention. The quality of education is assessed by alumni academic distinction. And when you look at how they assess employability, here again, they're not looking at how many students get jobs, or are they good jobs, or are the students getting good salaries, but rather they seek to count how many alumni have top positions in major companies. And you'll see that faculty, the quality of faculty, is measured by academic distinction. It does not take into account teaching skills or capabilities. And you can see how much weight is placed on the publication of research papers. So these are highly weighted criteria for this type of ranking. Now, Eric, if I could start with you, as Chief Enrollment Officer of the university, you work very closely with the university president and provost, and you're part of the leadership that has worked on the university's purpose and mission statements. So I'd like to ask this question directly to you. Does MCPHS submit candidacy to this type of ranking, and why or why not?
Thank you, Ita. And it's a really good question, and I will echo your comments as well about how this whole topic, I think, can be confusing at times, not just for students around the globe that are interested in coming to the US to study, but also for our domestic students, even inside the United States. There's many different ranking types and structures and kind of what people are looking at. When we think about something like US News and World Report, which has been around for a long time, frankly, in the US is pretty controversial at this point, as many domestic ranking systems have shifted more to weight more heavily individual student outcome data. Are folks getting jobs after graduation? What kinds of jobs are they being employed in? Are they going on to further their study and in graduate school? What types of salaries are they earning? Much of what's happened domestically has kind of shifted to that. So specifically with something like US News and Report, our school does not participate, and that has been that way for some time. The leadership focus of our school has always been around the emphasis at our school with our body of faculty as a teaching university. The responsibility that we look to for our faculty, the main role they play at the school is teaching our students, guiding our students, counseling our students, advising our students, so that teaching function is very core to the job of an MCPHS faculty, the teaching and the advising function. Many of them have come to us from professional backgrounds in the disciplines that they're teaching. Many of them continue those professional activities in those industries while they're teaching at our school. We do a great deal of research at our school, but our students also participate, obviously, in research opportunities in the many world-class facilities that are right around our schools. So, one of the ways I've always looked at it is that research in the U.S. at colleges and universities is very important for, nationally for our country. But in our specific case, it is a unique kind of thing where we are physically located in a city, in a region that has incredible institutions that are doing this kind of research, that are bringing in National Institutes of Health funding from the U.S. government, and we are an ideal partner for those institutions to offer up our students to participate in what they're already doing. So again, that doesn't mean that our faculty don't do their own research inside the school. We've actually really increased the amount of research that our faculty are doing through our own Center for Research, which has a very key undergraduate research component as well to offer undergraduate students opportunities to do research. But I think that one of the things that we see a lot of value in as a school are these outcome rankings. And I think that we're very proud of how we stack up in some of these services that really directly rank outcomes. Ita's heard me many times talk about the College Scorecard website, which is a website that is run by the United States Department of Education. It's collegescorecard.gov. And that's U.S. Department of Education data that is really focused on student success and student outcomes. There's great information there about average salary of graduates from all domestic U.S. colleges and universities. I believe our alums rank in the top 5 in the nation in terms of that salary survey. There's retention information, graduation information there. So we take a lot of pride in the rankings that are very favorable of our school, that are really zeroed in on determining what's actually happening with students and student outcomes.
Thank you for that. I think that was it's very important to understand this, that we do research in the university, but that it's not our focus. And I guess my question, just to follow up on your comments, Eric, and I'm going to turn to Parvinder. We know that Amitaj is working in research, and when he decided on university, was he interested in research? He didn't choose a public research, or you and he did not choose a public research university. Did he have research activities? And tell us about what he's doing, what he did right after graduation.
So no, Ita, when Amitoj joined the university, he wasn't really oriented towards research at all. But his professors were very supportive. They actually encouraged him to go gain experience in the field, whether it was in MCPHS itself or the hundreds of labs around him. Amitoj got an offer to work at the Dana-Farber Cancer Research Institute. And finally, he did accept the one which he landed him, with the Harvard Medical School right across our college. So that's how his journey in research began. In fact, he stuck with the same lab. He did his, internships on year 3 and 4, and he finally landed a job with them. And the same lab got transitioned into Mayo. So now Amitoj, since 2021, is working with Mayo Clinic and as a senior, and in fact, today his position is the senior lab technologist and the lab manager itself. In fact, Amitoj is publishing his first own research paper this summer. He's publishing the paper in regeneration and development of lungs. So he's been working hard for the last 3 years on that. So research is something that we got introduced. As you said in the beginning, Ita, it was the relationships with his professors that he developed, nurtured. And that's where he was exposed to the different opportunities, because the way our college is, placed, the amount of opportunities around the colleges is amazing. And that's how Amitoj got his first break.
Thank you. That Mayo Clinic is, as we all know, one of the top research institutions in the world. So that is very impressive to know that he has been working there, and from there is going now to Stanford. We put up the rankings that Eric was talking about. So these are different types of rankings. These are rankings that look at specifically the criteria that Eric mentioned: getting a job. How much salary are you getting? Are you working for a top ranked institution? Is this a transformative college? In other words, does this college give you opportunities that you would not have otherwise? The last one is also one that we're very proud of. We're one of the most diverse universities in the United States, which for international students is a very important criterion, because we want our children to be with people who look like them and to be able to find their community and their tribe. You can move on to the next slide, Lauren. One of the rankings that I am particularly proud of is the ranking that comes from the State Department's Agency for International Education, called the IIE, and it ranks leading institutions by institution type on hosting international students. We are number 4 in all of the United States among special focus institutions for hosting international students. I'd like to ask Norman, but of course, any of the parents, how important was ranking in your choice of university? And if you did look at rankings, which ones were important to you?
Thank you, Ida. For us, ranking, of course, was very important, but we didn't want to base ourselves on any one qualification, any one ranking. We looked at the sum of the whole, what you get out of the university, and how does that fit your young adult, or I can't call her a child anymore, but your young adult's mindset, where they want to be, where they want to go, what gives them the most opportunities. MCPHS is a over 200-year-old institution. It's created a lot of bonds with a lot of great opportunities or other institutions. So for me, that was a lot of credibility. That gave us a lot of it made the decision very easy, and it gave us it gave us a lot of trust in the fact that it's been around for so long, and that part of its journey is making those connections. Like Ms. Parvinder said, the fact that it's in a very, very good area where there's, especially for this field, a lot of opportunities, future opportunities for the young adults. That's what helped us make those decisions.
Thank you. And that sometimes the question is asked, why is MCPHS successful with international students? And I think all of these points are connected. It's because we place our priorities not on these research publications, but in student outcomes and success. And that was my segue into the next area that we're going to be looking at. Why do international students choose MCPHS? But before we do go any further, I do want us to define which students we're talking about today. Your children have two characteristics that are very important to consider when choosing a university. One is that they're not a US citizen. Another is that they're seeking a career in healthcare. These two characteristics they have inherent complications of their own separately. When you put them together, it could create a veritable obstacle course for the students. If the student is not guided by university who has experience not only with international students, not only with healthcare, but with international healthcare students, then these obstacles could prevent a lot of opportunities for students. So the questions that need to be asked that are very important to know is, does the university structure the curriculum to allow your child to participate in internships in healthcare institutions on a student visa? Or does the university have specific experiential opportunities dedicated to international learners that are compliant with visa restrictions? And I pursue with asking, does the university provide administrative support so that your student can get the Social Security number that they will need for their clinical rotations? And of course, we all want to make sure that each student has access to the best and longest OPT, optional practical training, and STEM OPTs that are possible. Those are administrative, but you also have to look at the support. Does the faculty in the university understand the differences between US healthcare system and the healthcare system that your child is used to? Can the university answer questions about where you practice with the American license that they're going to acquire? In other words, you need to choose a university that has experience specifically in supporting international healthcare students. At MCPHS, as you can see, 15% of the student body is made up of international students. Actually, our School of Pharmacy is 37% non-US citizens. So you want a university with a history of welcoming international healthcare learners. Harjeet, could you talk to us about Jasmine? Will she be staying in the US or will she be returning in Canada after graduation? You mentioned she's graduating this May. Congratulations. Will she be sitting the Canadian licensure examination?
Yeah, so Jasmine she was very, very fortunate to be presented with 5 job offers in the US. And she actually could pick and choose which one she wanted. She had the negotiating skills. Again, having that very close relationship with each one of her professors who guided her. She was speaking of one of her professors who she actually went to, who actually guided her how to negotiate her, offer letter. And she was not aware that she could do that as a student. And so she has accepted an offer with Rite Aid and she will be staying. So right after graduation, I'm helping her move into an apartment in New Hampshire. And she's staying in the US. My brother-in-law is not too happy because my brother-in-law owns a couple of pharmacies here in Canada. And he was expecting for her to come back and help him with the business. But, no, she's like, sorry, she's staying in the US and she loves it there. And, I'm a little kind of, not feeling kind of good, but, I'm happy. And she actually wants to stay with helping students as well with their experience of getting the same experience she has. Like she completed her undergrad degree here at a Canadian university as well before she came to MCPHS. And I must say the amount of support and the confidence, like, you mentioned to me a couple weeks ago that Jasmine's energy is so, what's the word, like magnetic, and that she just brings and that she had lost that before she came there, like in between, and the confidence has been rebuilt, everything. She's on cloud 9. And so she is staying in the US and she's all ready and she's writing her board and like NAPLEX in August. And yeah, so she's already thinking of starting a business in a couple of years, and she's going to continue with that MBA as well, what MCPHS offers. So she's got her whole future planned in the US.
Your brother needs to watch out. That might be competition coming around.
Oh, that's what he's saying. And yeah, so he's like, that's not why I actually, pushed her to go into pharmacy. He had other, plans. But, on that note, speaking of international, and I just want to add this to your previous note about other universities. So how I ended up picking up MCPHS was my brother-in-law had sent me to the University Expo, and there was world universities from Australia, England, everywhere. And why MCPHS actually, really, was pointed out, and I sat there and I talked to Christina at that time, was because they really took out the time to explain to me a lot of things. I'm a huge research junkie. I actually look at everything. I look at Maclean's magazine, their ranking. I look at all of Google, everything, which program. And it's not about which university ranks across the world in anything. Like, so University of Toronto may rank in something, but it's that specific program. So to me, MCPHS is a pharmacy program. To me, my daughter needed to go into that pharmacy program. And I knew that ranked #1. And that was where it was. And Christina's like, we will take care of the student. So there was universities from Australia, England, everything. No, MCPHS was a clear choice for me. There was no questions.
Thanks, and congratulations for Jasmine. That's actually a great segue into the next area that we wanted to talk about is outcomes and student success. So as we said, that's really what this university focuses on. In general, of course, student outcome and success depends on the student, but it also has a lot to do with the university and the opportunities that the university offers the students. I often tell students, university will open the door, you have to actually walk through it. So it's a collaborative effort. And we admit students with varying profiles. We have students who are very high achievers, and we have students who have an intellectual curiosity and a motivation, but maybe have not yet acquired the necessary discipline to be those high achievers. Our faculty will stimulate the high achievers with honors programs and summer undergraduate research opportunities, as we talked about with Parvinder. There are high-profile internships and inspiring guest speakers to keep them interested. But at the same time, the size of the university allows MCPHS to offer support to any student who needs extra resources to pull themselves up and be the best that they can be. The university's student to faculty ratio is 9:1. This is considered very impressive when you compare that to the national average of 21 to 1. And, you know, sometimes even those high achievers are going to need some pulling up and some individual attention. I'd like to just open it up to the group, this discussion about support and individual attention, if there are any thoughts on that subject.
Actually, I can go on that because I actually spoke to Jasmine last night. But the one thing that I actually found with with Jasmine especially, is with this program, you do have to be as a parent's role, you have to be very connected with your child on a daily basis. It's not a one-off. You need to really talk to them and understand them and where they're going, and really tell them, okay, you need to go and get the help, right? But at the same time, encourage your child to reach out to the counselors and the professors, right? If they're struggling somewhere, make sure you do that, right? And there were times where Jasmine would be stressed. I would ask her, if she spoke to her professor, if she spoke to her counselor, and many times after she would speak to them, she would come back saying how she felt better and how she was relieved. And, and she did much better at the next exam. So she went from a 4.0 in the first whole year at MCPH at the Boston campus. Then she was in the accelerated. So she was used to that. And then, there's times where they're not getting that perfect grade. But she's like, Mom, I didn't do so well. I said, go talk to the professor, ask him what it was. And then she's like, thank God I went and spoke to them, because now I understand. And then she did so much better. So it's very important we speak to our children, we encourage them, because they will shy away from asking for help. How many times as adults do we think, oh no, we can't ask for help, it's embarrassing or whatever? No. MCPHS has the resources, has the counselors, and why shouldn't we seek for the help? And this is why I am here today. And this is why my child is graduating on time. And she's gone through the accelerator program because it's a compressed program. But she's now ready for success. She has the tools to actually get out in the real world. So I want to thank you, for doing that for my daughter. So
Those are kind words, Harjeet. So Parvinder and Harjeet, your children are out of MCPHS. Norman, your daughter is still at school. What we're showing here on the screen is the exit survey. So Jasmine will soon have to take that in, I think, in the next couple weeks. Norman, has your daughter taken any advantage of support services on campus? And I know that you've also mentioned in the past her thoughts on the curriculum of MCPHS.
Yes, and I second Ms. Harjeet's comments. The fact that the school is very well set up to support the individual students with their specific problems is second to none. My daughter's had instances where she had to deal with different struggles in the school, and each time there was what I call the student champion that would help her through that specific hurdle. Let's just say that structure I had not previously experienced in the schools that my daughter had attended in the past. So I have to say that it's the way that MCPHS is structured to support their students, to have that champion role internally as someone who can advocate for the individual. I found that experience second to none. And now, most recently, my daughter is very, very interested in the ambulatory care side of the PharmD program. And she applied for a mentor, and she got a mentor. So now she has a mentor to help her through the next steps, guide her, what's important, what should she do in her first term with where she should look for a job and things like that. So very well set up to help the individual student with their individual challenges. So yeah.
That show that is correlated with the question that one of the parents has submitted in the chat. How do you support individuals with different learning behaviors and discipline in helping them achieve success in their academic work? I think that question ties into the size of the university and the fact that each student is checked up on, if I can say, individually. There is a system called an academic alert system that faculty manage in order to stay in touch with students and make sure that the students are attending class, are doing the work, and that their grades are staying at a level that will allow them to pass the class. So there's a bit of technology, and then there is the ability of a small school like MCPHS with the dedicated faculty to give individual attention to the students. And I think the question is a very good question because, as I said, we have very high-performing students that we need to keep interested, excited, motivated. And then we have other students who are just as motivated, but need more individual type of help. If we could move on to the next subject, and there are a couple other questions that we'll add at the very end. If we could move on to the next subject, these are the specific programs and support for international students. These are examples of what we were just talking about, of ways that students can seek help when their needs are more specific. I'd like to highlight a couple of these programs. For example, the Early Start program is for very young students, freshmen, who have never studied in the United States. There are various differences in academics in the United States. There are different ways that you speak to professors. There are different ways that professors conduct their classes. I think there's even a difference with Canada, even though we might not think so. And the Early Start program is for young international freshmen to make them aware of these differences. There's the English Language Resource Center. We do have a writing center, which is for all students, but the English Language Resource Center is for students for whom English is not a native language. And these are advisors and tutors who are trained in ESL, English as a second language, to help the students with their writing, but also coaching them in oral communication. And the list of specific programs for international students goes on. We can. I just don't want to spend too much time on each individual one, but I do want to just take a minute to talk about internships. Eric, could you talk to us about internship opportunities specifically for international students?
Yeah, it's a really good topic. It's an exciting topic for the school because it's something that we work a great deal on and we spend a lot of time on. And when I think about this kind of opportunity for our institution and for our students, it's an interesting topic for me because we focus a lot on what we call experiential education. And in our world, that means that the commitment from the school to make sure that students that are enrolled with our school are having high impact experiential pieces of their educational journey at the school. Most of those being off of our campus. So, at the different institutions around our school, really engaged in the community in Boston and Greater Boston and New England. And if you think about the type of school we are as a healthcare, life sciences, and biotech focused university, we have in some of our kind of internal language, we would describe as clinical and non-clinical programs. So some of the things that we've talked about, pharmacy, nursing, PA studies, optometry, these kinds of programs are obviously clinically based programs. Those programs have a clinical component in the curriculum. There are rotations that are required, clinical rotations, off-site. Harjeet speaking about her daughter getting ready to graduate. She's completed those off-campus clinical rotations. She may be in one right now as she gets ready to graduate. Those are required curricular components for our students in clinical programs. We have one of the largest clinical placement functions of any college in America. We place about 15,000 rotations every year, both in our region, domestically, and internationally as well. So those are academic components required in the curriculum that's getting those students off of our campus into these existing healthcare facilities, healthcare organizations, and they are actually working in those facilities, getting that real world experience. Additionally, we have a whole portfolio of programs that sometimes internally we would refer to as non-clinical degree programs. Those are our undergraduate degrees in biotechnology, biology, chemistry, health psychology, pre-med, biochemistry, all of those kinds of programs. We're equally as committed in those programs to giving those students experiential opportunities. And those manifest through either internships or those research opportunities that were spoken about earlier. So it's another way that we're just extremely lucky with physically where we sit. I refer to Boston all the time as the best college town in America. There are over 200,000 college students in this city area. But also we're a real world-class healthcare facility. It's the #1 biotech cluster in the world right now. So our ability to be able to work with our partners based on being a 200-year-old school and being, I think, the only healthcare focused university in Massachusetts, we are able to get those students into those internship opportunities, the research opportunities, to make sure that they have that experiential experience in their degree programs as well. And I think that the students benefit in incredible ways from this, both the clinical side and the non-clinical side. Obviously, there are after graduation employment opportunities that come through these experiences. It's also the time, I think, where a lot of students really start to formalize their decisions about where they want to guide and focus their career once they leave the school. They may come here not really understanding, for example, that you can focus in veterinary pharmacy. That may be something they've never even thought about before, but we have rotations at Angel Memorial Medical Center that's about a mile from our school. That's the best veterinary medical hospital in New England. So that's just a very small example of it's about opening those opportunities up for students, helping them understand the scope and scale of what they're able to do, giving them that real world experience so that they understand what it would be like after graduation to find that really good fit for the pathway forward. And
these experiences are fundamental in seeking employment afterwards. It's really the stepping stone to the job search. We have many students who are recruited from these internships. Isn't that right, Eric? And getting the jobs, that leads me to our next topic, because student achievement is part of the return on the investment. And studying in the United States is expensive. Let's say it. I'm sure none of the parents on the panel will disagree with me on that one. But as with any investment, the real calculation, Norman, you're the businessman in the group, so correct me if I'm saying something that's not true, but when you look at an investment, you look at the cost, but you also look at the return on that investment. And what you want to know is, will you be getting more for each dollar that you're investing with a different option? How do you know what that return on investment will be? And I know we've talked quite a bit about it. I'm sorry, Lauren, could you go back one slide? Could you go back up, please? We've talked quite a bit about the achievement. Yes, that's the one. Thank you, Lauren. The achievements and the employability and the jobs. The salaries are important because, as Eric mentioned at the very beginning of our program, this university is and has been for about 10 years at the very top of the median graduate earnings of all universities in the United States, and that includes international students. When you see here on the slide that $124,000 is the average that our students make in the jobs that they get, that is quite the return on the investment. Maybe this is where I can pass it over to you, Eric. Could you comment on this? Student financial services is one of the many departments under your responsibility, as you explained at the beginning. Could you tell us how does the Student Financial Services Office support families when it comes to this discussion and these calculations?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'll talk about that. I wanted to say real quickly, as we were talking about some of the experiential pieces, and I think about all the myriad of reasons why I really love my job. One of the things that's so rewarding for me is, in my work, I report to the president. I spend a lot of time with the president and the provost, and oftentimes we're having meetings and conversations with people that are hosting our students in clinical spaces outside at the school. And the things that we hear about our students are one of the real drivers, I think, that keep us going. We hear so frequently, even from these incredible facilities that are right around our school. Boston Children's Hospital right down the street, the #1 pediatric hospital in the United States. Brigham and Women's Hospital next door, Mass General across the street, which interestingly just recently performed the first pig to human kidney transplant that was successful. We saw in the news that the patient was released from the hospital. So these kinds of innovations that are happening and our students being able to participate, and then for those folks to come back to us and say, can you please send us more students, because your students, above all others, are immediately ready when they walk in the door to get to work. There's very little training they have to do. Their education at the school has prepared them to walk in the door and participate, not just shadow and observe. That's incredibly rewarding. Specifically with the financial piece, I am also lucky that I oversee a staff of excellent professional student financial services advisors. And one of the things that we focus our office on is #1 student service and direct one-to-one work with our students and our families. We understand that the financial piece, putting a financial plan to come to the school is a very individualized thing. Every student situation is very different. And there's a lot of different things that can be customized based on that student and that situation. So we try to, make ourselves very available, whether it's an individual personal appointment on campus, or it's a Zoom appointment like we're doing right now, or a telephone appointment with both students and all the folks that are helping them make the education a reality. So we really focus on that servicing piece. We want to make sure that people understand what all their resources are, all the different ways that they can pay, some of the flexible pieces that are built into it. I'm very proud that I believe we invest very heavily into our merit scholarship program for international students. That's not always the case at American colleges and universities. But we have long invested heavily in these renewable scholarships for students. It is, and I hope it is, a major part of the financial piece for them to come to our school. We make renewability on those scholarships very flexible and relatively easy for undergraduate students. They renew all the way through some of our extended programs, 3+3 or 3+4 undergraduate pathway programs, 6-year direct entry PharmD programs. They renew for all of those years. We also have a somewhat flexible monthly payment plan that a lot of our international families participate in to spread some of the costs that they're incurring across monthly payments across the school. So, we definitely want to be a resource in student financial services. We want to be as helpful as possible. We want to have the time and the bandwidth to spend individually with students and with the families and kind of the circle of people around them that are assisting them in coming to school.
Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to open it up to discussion with the parents, because this is a very personal, individual question. The affordability appointments are something that we highly recommend, but the conversation ultimately is always an individual one and needs to be calculated with the total cost of study and compared to what kind of salaries students can expect. Harjeet, Norman, or Parvinder, could you talk to us a little bit about how this went about in your calculations, in your logic, maybe even about some of your experience with these payment methods?
Ita, I would like to add here. So it's just such a coincidence, like Harjeet shared. Even I was a single parent when Amitoj started. Finances was a big thing for me to put Amitoj through college. That was once, of course, we enrolled in college. I cannot even, you may not even know this, but there were days and there were months when we realized that Amitoj, things are very whatever, but the international student support that you guys provided, whether it was financial, like Harjeet said, there were times, they need counseling, everything from top to bottom for the international students was fabulous. Amitoj was actually given, there was a time when we were considering how do we put through the next year. And these guys worked out the finances. He got campus jobs. He got, the kind of support. He was shown the right path. All you have to do is ask. Just reach out to someone from the kind of support. Like my second son is studying in Boston too, very close to MCPHS. Very good, very happy. But I'm telling you, the kind of support the international students get in MCPHS, you just have to reach out, whether it was, they didn't, of course, the scholarships that Eric was talking about, Amitoj is a result of those scholarship. Those helped us out throughout. So there are like 100 avenues. All you have to do is ask. That's it.
So I can add to that, Ida. So I can, because I'm in the financial industry, and at that time I was actually working at a bank, and I had actually more resources, and I had to come up with a very creative plan. And like Eric had said, we have to look at this as an investment. And so my sister had said to me, she goes, you have to, as we buy houses, to look at, we build up appreciation in the value. This is the same thing as our children. So I came up with a plan, and MCPHS is recognized in Canada as one of the universities that we can actually look in as OSAP as well. So for a lot of parents, for the Canadian students, I can say you can apply for OSAP for the student loan, and they will give that. You can go to the Canadian banks and get a student line of professional credit, which is 125,000. So that helped. And then also Jasmine was one of the lucky students to take advantage of I think at that time it was 60,000, so 20,000 per year. So that really helped. So I only really had to come up with about 25 to 30,000 a year to help her to get through that, and which that really, really helped me. So if we go down to crunching the numbers, because I'm a very numbers person, and as a lot of parents, we should be writing down all the numbers, right? So, every time I come up with a budget, that's how I was able to really look down and okay, and then Jasmine also was working for MCPHS to talk to the students, and she had a part-time job and she still does. And she goes, Mom, I can do my pocket money, right? So that's where it all helped out in our situation.
Thanks for the details. I appreciate your being so transparent, Harjeet. We of course, the numbers are not the same for everyone, and scholarships are not the same for everyone. And that's why every single parent watching this should call up their admissions counselor, make an appointment with them, and or make an appointment with Student Financial Services. And oftentimes together, we will walk the parent through the costs that you can expect every year, the different payment accommodations that are possible, and importantly, go through the entire degree, because you have to look at the entire duration of studies. Some schools will have scholarship only year one or only year two. How does that compare with the renewable scholarships that MCPHS offers every year? Some of our scholarships even transfer over to our graduate programs when you're in an undergraduate pathway. So all of these things, it's impossible to know. It's impossible to figure it out on our website. I'm sorry, Eric, as much as we try to be clear, it's just really difficult. So the best thing to do is really to call up the MCPHS advisor and just walk through it. Now, Lauren has gone on to the next slide because that's her way of telling me I'm talking too much. And the next subject is safety and security. It's an important subject. Unfortunately, we have really come up to time. So I'm going to go through these slides a little bit too quickly, but there are other webinars, the other parent webinars that spend a little bit more time on them. But I do want to let you know that MCPHS has a Department of Public Safety. We have public safety officers on all of our campuses, in all of our buildings, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Every single community member is issued an ID and must show their ID in order to enter campus, or else they don't enter. Even people as important as Eric won't get in if you don't have your ID. Escorts are available if you are alone to walk home, or you find that you've stayed in classes late. And there are advantages in studying in an urban setting. There's no doubt, because urban settings will provide many more opportunities than being in a rural setting, especially with the careers that we're looking at. But as you know, with any urban setting in a city, your neighborhoods, there are neighborhoods that are better than others, right? So this is the neighborhood that we're in. This is the Longwood Medical Area. Besides all the institutions that were mentioned earlier that are right at our doorstep, it also is a very safe and secure neighborhood, because all of these research institutions and hospitals have their own security measures, and the area, in the entire area, is very much secured. So we don't have any major crime problems, but that's easy for me to say. So let me show you how you can figure out the crime on campus, or the safety on campus. The U.S. Department of Education actually provides a campus safety tool for parents and students and prospective students to look at. You can move ahead, Lauren. Let me show you what this website says about MCPHS. So you can see for the past 3 years, the types of reported crimes on campus. Go ahead, Lauren. This is the same report for the residences, our on-campus housing. And just to give you a bit of comparison, we've pulled up another university. We won't cite any names, but this is what it looks like when the reports are a little bit more abundant. And we can move on to the next slide because the last slide is just about questions. We won't have time for many questions, but I did want to open the floor for any last comments from our panelists. We'll start with the parents and we'll end with Eric. Parents, is there any question that we didn't ask that we should have asked? Or any comment that you would like to share with the parents listening to us? Norman, you've unmuted. Any final comments?
Well, I just want to second and third what Ms. Parvinder and Ms. Ajit said. The fact is that there's always risk in investments. This is something that it's not easy to know the outcome, because you're not sure with your child and everything and situations and the world. But I can tell you that the risk reward with MCPHS, the fact that MCPHS is a over 200-year university or college, it's been around, where it's located, the opportunities around MCPHS, the fact that you get support in finding jobs and support financially in the aspect of, if you want to work, they'll help you find the work, to get the money to do what you have to do to get through this school. I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, where I live in Canada, just like Ms. Harjeet, and our dollar is not strong, but I can tell you that the opportunities that my daughter is seeing in front of her are vast, and I think for as far as risk reward is concerned, the ratio is very good on the reward side.
Parvinder, Harjeet, any last comments?
All good, Ita. I would just tell the parents, if there is no risk, there is no reward. So that much, Norman, we have to take the risk. But yes, the rewards are awesome. Rest is up to the child, support the child. All I can say is MCPH is one of the most communicative, open arm, open policy. All you have to do is walk into their door, and then you leave it to the Itas and the Erics, and they take over your student. Then we become just the backbone and go for it.
Thank you, Harjeet.
I just want to echo exactly what Parvinder and Norman just said. I had never been to Boston until I went to drop Jasmine off, and I left my daughter for the MCPHS family to take care. And here I am 3.5 years later, and it's been a very great journey, and a journey that's going to continue, because it's just been amazing. And Ida, I've passed on the information to the rest of my family, so you'll probably see future, family members probably entering. And so yeah, it's just been amazing. It's a school that I would highly recommend to anyone. So good things all around.
Thank you. Thank you very much, the three of you. And Eric, if you would give us some words of closing.
Of course, I want to thank the panelists that participated. It's been really fun for me to hear stories about their students and about what's ahead for their students and their experience at our school. And I think I would just leave with these final thoughts. I think that what I would like for everyone that's participating to hear is the very, very significant value that our institution puts on the idea that we are a global community at MCPHS. We talk a lot about our school being an international leader in healthcare, life sciences and biotech education. And that means that we have to have a global community. We need your global citizen students to be part of that community. And we've invested a great deal in the support systems and the services that are needed to support those students through their education. We believe very strongly in the things that our domestic students will learn from these global citizens that come to our school, and the things that they will learn from them, vice versa. You know, there's so much opportunity, even when I think about some of the things that international students may move on to do even domestically here in the US. There is such a need for diversity in healthcare delivery across the globe, certainly here in the US. People that are doing these jobs, you know, around me, just where I live, they need to understand the global community. They need to understand global cultures. They need to really understand these things to be effective healthcare deliverers, researchers, scientists, whatever they're doing in this industry. So it's an exciting industry. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting place to do all this. But just know that any of your students that you would send to our school are an incredibly valued part of our community, and very much appreciated in terms of their contributions while they're a student at our school.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for your time, for your contribution, for your sincerity and transparency. And thank you to all the participants who listened to us. Of course, you can always reach out to us. Our contacts are on the website, and we wish you well, and we look forward to welcoming your students to the MCPHS family. Goodbye.